Medical texts are full of accounts of patients who make unexplainable and amazing recoveries from life-threatening illnesses. But few of them are as mysterious as the one you're about to see. And we leave it to you to decide whether or not it was a miracle. July 5th, 1986. Joe Tucker of Albany, Georgia, is being rushed to the hospital for the second time in a month.
Lean your head back.
Having survived serious injuries in a car crash in June, Joe is now facing a complication that no one had expected.
Just hold your head back. We're almost there, sweetie.
And now, without immediate treatment, Joe could suffer severe brain damage or die. 5 weeks earlier, Joe's life had been nearly perfect. He was in good health, had a great job, and was engaged to be married in September to the woman of his dreams, Joyce Womack. But on June 13th, Joe was involved in a major traffic accident that nearly destroyed all their plans. The force of the impact threw Joe's head into the door of the cab, leaving him with a concussion and severe injuries to his back and spine. He was rushed to a local hospital, the same hospital where his fiancée Joyce worked as a nurse.
I was scared. I wasn't sure what kind of shape he was in, how bad was the injury. Is he conscious? Will he know who I am?
Joyce, he's okay. He's okay. He's stable. When Joyce finally entered the ER, Joe turned his head to look at her, and at that moment she felt that in spite of his injuries, he was going to pull through.
That's good.
But Joe's speedy recovery surprised even his doctor, John Testerman.
He seemed to do well from his skull fracture. The blood cleared up from behind his ear, and there didn't seem to be any residual problems from that. And so after about 3 weeks, we went ahead and discharged him from the hospital.
But a few days later, Joe began experiencing intense pressure inside his head and discovered a strange, clear liquid coming from his nose, accompanied by a fierce, pounding pain.
Something's not right.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. You come sit on the bed, and I'll call the hospital. Everything's gonna be fine.
Within seconds, Joyce contacted Joe's doctor, and they were racing back to the hospital with Joe's life hanging in the balance. X-rays revealed a small hairline fracture at the base of Joe's skull, a direct result of his original accident, but with a far more dangerous consequence. He was losing spinal fluid, and he was losing it fast.
This is very dangerous because anytime fluid can leak out from around the brain, bacteria can go up that same hole and get up into the coverings around the brain and cause meningitis, or even form a brain abscess. If it's left untreated, it is a potentially fatal condition.
The prognosis was devastating. Joe was immediately scheduled for surgery, a surgery that was so delicate that it could leave him with serious physical side effects, even if he managed to live through it. Joyce tried not to show Joe how frightened she was, but she knew she might be losing the man she loved forever. And so together, they made an important decision. Their marriage would no longer take place in September. It would happen now, in the hospital.
You'd marry me like this?
Yes, I would in a minute.
The entire hospital staff helped in the preparation, and on July 12, 1986, the ceremony proceeded as planned.
Joe was on a stretcher, but I guess standing up there saying our vows, I didn't feel like he was sick. It was just like we were on our own little world, saying our vows, and this was it. This was the beginning of my, my new life with this special person. Right at that moment, everything felt right. It was just perfect.
The plight of this young couple touched the hearts of friends and neighbors, and many in the small community showed their support by attending the event.
People that I didn't even know were coming up and telling me, hey, we're praying for Joe. We're praying for Mr. Tucker. Let him know that we're supporting him.
But there was one person whose prayers would change their lives forever. She arrived in Joe's room the night before the operation, long after visiting hours were over.
Mr. and Mrs. Tucker?
The Tuckers didn't recognize the woman.
You don't know me, but I've been sent here to pray for you.
We was thinking she's one of the people from the church visiting that visits all the patients.
We ask that Joe be healed.
The woman told Joe that he would not require surgery the next day, that miracles do happen. The woman's words gave Joyce and Joe a sense of peace and comfort, but before they could thank her, she was gone.
Let me go find out who she is.
And when Joyce ran to catch her, she was in for the surprise of her life.
When I asked the nurse, I said, did you happen to see which way the lady that just came out of Joe's room in a green dress went? And she says, nobody come out of your room. I thought, well, that's odd. I said, well, a lady just left, that came in the room to visit, and I missed her leaving. And then she said again, she said, well, I didn't see anybody come out of the room.
Who was this mysterious lady in green? Was she real, or had they just imagined seeing her? The next morning, they received their answer. When the doctor arrived for a pre-op checkup, the fluid had miraculously stopped flowing.
This looks really good. It looks really good.
I said, it has stopped. I'm not leaking no more. He's made me shake my head left and right. It's stopped. And Joe says, well, you remember what that lady said?
She said there wouldn't be a need for surgery. And that's when Joe and I realized she was right. She knew something.
We're going to do a couple more tests in a few hours, and if everything works out, you may be going home tonight.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding you.
You're not kidding me. I thought, wow, I'm supposed to have surgery at 7, but in a couple of hours I can go home. No, this is perfect. I don't want to see this place again.
Joe Tucker was released from the hospital later that day. And in the 12 years since then, he has never had a recurrence of the problem. He has also never been able to find the woman who came into his room that night and brought with her the miracle of his recovery.
I don't know if she was an angel or not, but to me she was, because I know I didn't have to have surgery. Nothing went wrong.
Did she come from heaven? Did she come from Albany? That doesn't matter. What's important is the message of comfort. There's no doubt in my mind that God is still in the healing business.
Today, Joe and Joyce Tucker still live and work in Albany, Georgia. Joe has completely recovered, but not a day goes by that they don't wonder about the mysterious lady in green who visited the hospital room that night and the miraculous healing that followed.